Ada and Yuzuki live side by side as neighbors. They both leave in the morning for school at the same time. Ada spots Yuzuki and says good morning to her. Yuzuki is a shy girl and she does not meet his eyes but says hello to him back. Ada takes his leave and starts to walk in the direction of his school. Apparently, Yuzuki is his school's new transfer student. She doesn't just live next to him, but she also sits next to him during class. That was when he noticed that when a bunch of girls swarm her, she starts to feel uncomfortable and can't find any words to express herself. When the girls finally leave, she is able to take breath again. He smiles as he tells her that if anything ever bothers her, she can come to him and ask for help since they are neighbors, both in class and at home. So he will try his best to help her out with anything, whether it's studying or making friends, or if she does not understand anything about the school system. When Yuzuki hears this, she is surprised and opens her mouth to say something to him. When she gets the courage to voice out what she was about to say, someone comes up to Ida and starts to talk to him, completely cutting of Yuzuki. The other classmate starts to talk about yesterday's show that he and Ida have a common interest in and watch, and as they are lost in the conversation, Yuzuki looks down disappointed that she could not get her point across and was unable to talk to him. The next day, Ada asks her how her school was, and she just says that it was fine. The next day after that, he tries to strike a conversation by saying that it is a hot day, and she replies in a yes and goes silent, and soon after their conversation ends. The day after that, he says that they have a lot of homework, and she still does not take the bait to have a proper conversation. With things awkward like this, they simply sit at their tables without talking to each other. When Ina goes home, he lays on his bed as he thinks that he messed up because she must hate him for always bothering her with random questions and being annoying. He really wanted to be friends with her though. She seemed like a nice and kind girl, and they were even neighbors, so they would have been able to keep having fun even after school. But it seems like it can't be helped now because he lost his chance at being friends just by being annoying. As he is thinking such things, he hears his window rattle continuously, and when he opens the curtains to check what is rattling his window, he is surprised to find Yuzuki in her window, leaning over to rattle his window. When he looks at her surprised like this, she tries to come up with something to say to him, but she stutters and struggles to find something to say. In main defeat, she explains that it was nothing and closes the window and her curtains. Aiden is surprised at what just happened and sits on his bed, staring at the window with dumbfounded expression, unable to comprehend what had just happened because it all happened too fast. Yuzuki, on the other hand, sits on her bed while out of breath, cheeks burning up because she is embarrassed of what she just did, but suddenly she starts to giggle to herself. The next day at school, they sit beside each other while in awkward silence trying not to meet each other's eyes. Anna finally gains the courage to address what happened yesterday, and Yuzuki stutters as she asks if they can talk about this after school. Now it is after school, all the other students have gone home or are in the teacher's office performing their duties. In an empty classroom, it is just him and Yuzuki. Ada stands by the windows while Yuzuki sits in her place. He starts to feel embarrassed as he thinks about how much this situation seems like a confession. Yuzuki turns to look at him, a determined expression on her face, and Ida for a second actually considers that it might actually be a confession. Yuzuki stutters as she calls him by his name and tries to find word. After much effort, she blurts out that she wants him to be her childhood friend. Although her voice stutters, but she still has a determined expression, and her confession of wanting to be friends takes Ida by surprise. He asks what she means by childhood friend, and she tries to explain as she had to move a lot of times already, so she never truly had a childhood friend. Ada nods at her explanation as she continues to tell him that she is super shy and she just moved school, but she always reads manga and watch anime at home, and every single one of them had a cheerful childhood friend in it where they are always together and always friendly with each other. They always got each other's back, and sometimes they even annoy each other, but always help out in times of need. When she reads such characters, she gets super jealous of how amazing it must be and how it's unfair that she does not get to experience such things. She wants to play and learn and cry a lot too. And above all else, she wants a childhood friend to do these things with and who will always stay by her side. After her passionate explanation is over, she returns back to her shy self and says that she has always idolized such things and wants it. Ada waves his hands as he says that he understands why she would want that, but he does not understand why she wants it to be him. Yuzuki panics at the blunt question and tries to explain that they are in the same year and sit next to each other and even live side by side, and their rooms are in the perfect place where they both creep in from the window, That's what childhood friends do. He finally understands what she was trying to do yesterday. Yuzuki continues that she is the only one who tried talking to her more than once, so she would really like someone like him to be her friend. Upon hearing this, Aida's eyes start to sparkle at how wholesome she sounds and asks her if that is how childhood friends work. She tells him that he offered to help her with anything. After some silence, Yuzuki asks him if he does not like her with a shy and sad expression while her eyes glimmer with hope and excitement. When Ada sees her expression, he blushes and stutters that he doesn't mind taking her offer if she is fine with him. When Yuzuki hears this, her face suddenly lights up, and she gives a genuine smile and thanks Ada, who upon seeing her smile also smiles earnestly, and thinks that the decision he made was nothing to be worried about. Ada asks Yuzuki what he has to do now that he is her childhood friend. Yuzuki leans in to say that childhood friends always grow up very close to each other, and since their houses are close and their families go out together, have the same school and same class, so they learn and play together and help each other with stuff. Sometimes they fight, but then they share snacks to make up, and sometimes they fight again over who gets the last piece, and one of them cries and the other gives the last one without a word. Yuzuki is lost in her fantasies as she rambles on and on about them. Ada is confused, and Yuzuki finally comes back to reality and says that they should always be together, and if they are going to always be together, then they need to call each other by their name. Ada nods and she asks him to call her name. Ada freaks out a bit as he stutters trying to say her name, and he finally calls her Kansan. She realizes that this is something that people do when they start going out with each other. He looks up to meet her gaze after saying her name and sees that she has an angry expression. He is confused as to why she is mad at him, and she points at him as she tells him not to use any honorifics because close friends don't use any honorifics. He realizes and tries to say her name while feeling a little embarrassed by it when he does. As he opens his eyes to see her reaction, he is surprised to see Keed with a blush on her face as she giggles, happily murmuring that she is a childhood friend of someone's. Ada says that it is her turn to call him by his name now, and she stutters as she tries to say his name out loud. First, she calls him Kuhai-kun and sighs as she says that she will say it properly. She looks into his eyes as she calls him Kuhai without any honorifics. This surprised Kuhi and also excites him as he has a big smile on his face, and he says that being childhood friends does not seem too bad. Kuhai and Keed bid each other farewell when they reach their home. Kuhai is ready to go inside and call it a day. Keed stops him before he steps into his house and asks if he can sleep in the next day for going to school. Koi is confused as to why she would ask him that and want him to be late to school. Keita leans while looking directly at him to say that it is going to be okay because she is there for him. She will wake him up tomorrow. That way he won't be that late. This surprised Kuhai, but he says that he doesn't want to even if she is going to help him because he really does not want to be late to school though, and asks her why she would go out of her way to wake him up when he can just wake up himself. It is inefficient for her to do so, and he is completely capable of waking up on his own. Kate explains that childhood friends sleep in the morning and their friends wake them up and they go to the school together in a hurry. It's a standard happening that happens to everyone if you have a childhood friend. If she gets to wake him up, then she gets to say that she is his alarm clock. Confused, Kuei agrees hesitantly and bids her good night and goes inside his house. Koei is in the bath with a lot on his mind. He thinks that the scenario Keed wants to carry out happens a lot in anime and manga, so it is not completely unheard of. He gets shy as he sinks further in the water when he thinks about a female friend coming into his room in the morning and seeing him sleeping. There is no way he can allow such a thing to happen. It is too embarrassing. He hears the voice of someone telling him to wake up. Then he sees Kate on top of his sleeping body as she wishes him good morning with a coy and innocent expression on her face and tells him that he is going to be late to school. Suddenly, Kohei wakes up from his dream that he was just having. He sits up on his bed and looks at the clock and realizes that he somehow managed to wake up on his usual time. He starts to get ready as he eats a piece of toast for his breakfast, brushes his teeth, and changes into his school uniform, just like he has been doing his entire life. As he buttons his shirt, he realizes that Keed, who was supposed to come into his room and wake him up from being late, has not showed up at all to do what she said. Confused as to why, he looks up the window and sees Keed standing in front of his house with a nervous look on her face. He is shocked that she is on time as Keed walks around in circles nervously, seeming like she is considering something against her will. She tries to ring the doorbell and almost goes through with it, but immediately fails and goes back to thinking. He is confused as he stares at her and wonders if she is not going to come in like she said she would. He gets fully dressed for school and wears his bag as well as he steps outside of his house and wishes Kate a good morning. Kate is surprised as she stutters to explain herself. She tells him that she was just about to press the doorbell while pointing at him, and he thinks she is a liar because he just saw what happened from the window. She was unable to ring his doorbell because she was too nervous about it. He turns around to go back inside as he tells her that he is going to go back in and she is going to do it properly this time. Kate panics as she stops him and tells him that she lied because she was worried that if she rang the doorbell and her mother came to open the door and greet her, she would have no idea how to explain the situation to her and it would be weird. After all, she is too awkward around others.